You think The Jetsons was the only cartoon that saw tomorrow coming? Think again. Hidden in the dusty corners of animation history lie visionary worlds that nailed our present reality with eerie precision. While mainstream studios played it safe, these ambitious cartoons were busy blueprinting the digital age decades before Silicon Valley. Ready for the real prophets of animation? Number 1. Thundarr the Barbarian, 1980 to 1982. Forget Mad Max. Thundarr the Barbarian was painting post-apocalyptic wastelands before they became the default setting for every dystopian franchise. This Ruby Spears production kicked off with a rogue comet splitting the moon in half and devastating civilization. The result? A savagely divided 39-94 Earth, where technology and magic battle for supremacy while everyday people struggle to survive. What makes Thundarr eerily prophetic isn't just its environmental collapse scenario, but how it portrayed technology becoming indistinguishable from magic for the average survivor. Sound familiar? Just watch someone who doesn't understand how their smartphone works treating it like a mystical talisman. The show's lords hoarding ancient tech, while keeping populations ignorant mirrors today's digital divide with disturbing accuracy. Critics dismiss Thundarr as just another muscle-bound hero clone, but its world-building was revolutionary. The writing team, including sci-fi legends like Larry Niven, created a future where climate refugees wander between mega-cities controlled by technocratic elites. The broken moon hanging in every skyline served as a constant reminder of humanity's hubris. Most jaw-dropping, the series predicted localized weather disasters, creating climate migration decades before the term existed. In one episode, City of Evil, a weather control machine creates artificial hurricanes to drive away populations from resource-rich areas. With catastrophic weather events now reshaping human migration patterns globally, Thundarr wasn't just entertaining kids on Saturday mornings. It was warning them about the world they'd inherit. Number 2. Galaxy Express, 999, 1978 to 1981. A steam locomotive traveling through space sounds ridiculous, right? Yet, Leiji Matsumoto's Galaxy Express 999 wasn't just epic space opera. It was a visionary critique of transhumanism that feels ripped from today's headlines about neural implants and digital immortality. This forgotten anime masterpiece follows young Tetsuro seeking a mechanical body on the distant planet Andromeda, where humans can transfer consciousness into immortal machine forms. The genius lies in how Galaxy Express didn't celebrate this technological upgrade, but questioned it. The mechanical humans Tetsuro encounters have gained immortality but lost their humanity, becoming cold, calculating, and often monstrously cruel. As tech billionaires today pour millions into life extension and brain-computer interfaces, the show's central question hits harder than ever. What parts of ourselves might we sacrifice when merging with machines? Despite minimal distribution in the West, Galaxy Express earned cult status among animation aficionados. Its hauntingly beautiful space vistas influenced generations of artists. But its philosophical core is what truly resonates today. Episodes exploring the economic divide between those who could afford immortality and those left behind in biological bodies predicted our current anxieties about technological privilege with stunning accuracy. Most chillingly, the series portrayed a future where humanity's obsession with technological advancement led to environmental devastation on Earth, forcing the wealthy to flee to manufactured habitats while the poor remained on a dying planet. With space tourism now exclusively available to billionaires while climate crisis accelerates, Galaxy Express 999's cosmic journey feels less like fantasy and more like a documentary from our near future. Number 3. Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, 1985 to 1987. How many cartoons predicted melting ice caps and underwater civilizations? French animation Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, Le Monde Englouti, built its entire premise around climate apocalypse and the desperate search for sustainable energy. The series centers on Arcadia, an advanced civilization forced underground after ecological disaster, powered by an artificial sun now failing. When their energy crisis peaks, they send a synthetic girl named Arcana to the surface seeking help. The show didn't just predict environmental collapse. It anticipated our current renewable energy debates with uncanny precision. Arcadia's dependence on their failing sun mirrors our own struggles transitioning from fossil fuels, while various episodes explore alternative energy sources with surprising technical accuracy for a kids' show. One storyline about harnessing volcanic energy predated modern geothermal innovations by decades. Critics originally dismissed Spartacus as bizarre Euro animation with trippy visuals and complex mythology too dense for children. Yet its richly detailed world, complete with diverse multicultural protagonists, developed a passionate following in France and Canada. Its limited U.S. broadcast, retitled Spartacus and the Sun Beneath the Sea, meant most American viewers missed its revolutionary ideas. The series' most stunning prediction: cryptocurrency and virtual economies. The Arcadian shag currency exists as pure energy that fluctuates based on supply rather than centralized control, a remarkably accurate description of blockchain principles created long before Bitcoin. As our real world grapples with digital currency regulation and energy-intensive mining operations, this forgotten cartoon feels less like fantasy and more like a technical manual for our decentralized financial future. Number 4. Ulysses, 1981 to 1982. Greek mythology in space sounds like a weird gimmick, but Ulysses 31 transcended its high-concept pitch to deliver startlingly accurate predictions about AI ethics and algorithmic justice. This Franco-Japanese collaboration reimagined Homer's Odyssey in the 31st century, with Ulysses piloting a spacecraft through strange worlds. But the true visionary aspect was the show's villain, an all-powerful computer system called the Gods that enforces cosmic law through absolute mathematical judgment. Decades before debates about algorithmic bias and AI governance became mainstream, Ulysses 31 asked, "What happens when we entrust justice to machines that cannot understand human context?" The protagonist isn't fighting evil, but a system operating exactly as designed, enforcing rules without comprehending mercy, context, or proportionality. Sound familiar? Just look at today's controversy surrounding AI sentencing recommendations and automated content moderation. The show's stunning visuals came from anime legend Toyo Ishida, while its philosophical depth earned respect from critics who initially dismissed it as merchandise-driven animation. Episodes exploring the relationship between humans and the ship's robot, Nono, predicted our complex attachments to AI assistants with eerie precision. Most prophetic was the episode The Magician in Black, featuring an ancient AI that manipulates data to create false realities that humans cannot distinguish from truth. As we navigate our current era of deepfakes and synthetic media, this 40-year-old cartoon episode reads like a warning we should have heeded. The underlying message that systems designed to serve humanity can become our masters if implemented without ethical guardrails feels more urgent now than ever, as we rush toward increasingly autonomous AI systems with minimal regulation. Number 5. Mysterious Cities of Gold, 1982 to 1983. Long before sustainable energy became a global priority, the mysterious cities of gold envisioned ancient solar technologies that could liberate humanity from fossil fuels. This French-Japanese co-production might seem like a simple adventure story, 3 children searching for legendary cities in 16th century South America, but its technological predictions were decades ahead of their time. The Golden Condor, a bird-shaped aircraft powered entirely by concentrated solar energy, anticipated modern developments in solar thermal power with stunning accuracy. What makes the series truly prophetic is its central premise that past civilizations possessed advanced clean energy technology that was lost to time. Today, as researchers discover ancient cooling systems in the Middle East and Roman concrete that self-repairs, the show's suggestion that historical knowledge might help solve modern energy challenges feels remarkably prescient. Episodes featuring the lost Olmec civilization, using solar, concentrators mirror contemporary solar thermal plants in concept and design. Initially broadcast as part of Nickelodeon's early programming, the show developed a cult following that celebrated both its historical research and technological imagination. Its soundtrack by Haim Saban and Shuki Levy became iconic. but its detailed animated educational segments about real Incan and Aztec history were revolutionary for children's programming. Most impressively, the series predicted our current fusion of archaeology and renewable energy engineering. In one episode, the children discover ancient plans for harnessing ocean currents to generate power, a technology only now being developed as tidal generation. As modern engineers increasingly look to nature for biomimetic solutions, the show's central theme that ancient wisdom might help us build a sustainable future feels less like fantasy and more like a blueprint we should have followed decades ago. Number 6, Time Bokan, 1975 to 1976. Decades before cryptocurrency miners consumed entire power plants' worth of electricity, Time Bokan predicted energy wars with alarming accuracy. This anarchic Japanese series centered on competing time travelers racing to find Dynamond, a future energy source so powerful that a single crystal could power a city. Sound familiar? Just replace Dynamond with lithium or rare earth minerals, and you've got today's geopolitical resource scrambles playing out in real time. What made Time Bokan revolutionary wasn't just its energy crisis premise, but its cynical take on how corporations and governments would manipulate information about resource scarcity. The bumbling villains frequently spread misinformation while working for shadowy conglomerates, predating today's climate disinformation campaigns with eerie similarity. Each episode effectively showcased how technological progress gets weaponized by powerful interests. Animation fans recognized Time Bokan for pioneering the villain trio formula that influenced decades of anime, but its satirical edge was often lost in translation. The series spawned multiple sequels and spin-offs in Japan, including Yatterman, while remaining virtually unknown in Western markets until recent streaming revivals. Perhaps most prophetic was the show's vision of everyday technology becoming increasingly dependent on rare, conflict-driving resources. Episodes featured appliances that required Dynamon to function, creating artificial scarcity that benefited manufacturers. A business model now standard in everything from smartphones to tractors through planned obsolescence and proprietary parts. As nations today scramble for control of battery materials and semiconductor components, Time Bokan's resource wars aren't just cartoon plots anymore, they're tomorrow's headlines. Number 7, Captain Future, 1978 to 1979. Before Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos became household names, Captain Future predicted the rise of tech billionaires moonlighting as space adventurers with uncanny accuracy. Based on pulp novels from the 1940s, but significantly updated for its animated adaptation, this Japanese series centered on Curtis Newton, a brilliant inventor who uses his private space technology to solve interplanetary crimes while government space agencies lag behind his innovations. The series didn't just predict private space companies outpacing NASA, it anticipated the entire celebrity entrepreneur phenomenon. Captain Future's combination of scientific genius, personal wealth, and media savvy feels remarkably similar to modern tech titans, who leverage their companies to pursue space exploration alongside profit motives. Episodes frequently explored the ethical complications of concentrating so much technological power in private hands. Animation connoisseurs celebrate the series for its distinctive character designs and ambitious space sequences, but its Western broadcast was limited and heavily edited. In Germany and France, however, Captain Future became a cultural phenomenon, with a theme song that still triggers instant recognition decades later. Most striking was the show's prediction of how robotics would evolve. Captain Future's team included 3 artificial companions, Greg, Otto, and Simon. This trinity effectively mapped the actual development paths of physical robots, synthetic biological entities, and artificial intelligence, 3 separate technologies that the show correctly anticipated would develop in parallel rather than as a single robot technology. When Boston Dynamics showcases their latest humanoid robot, while other companies develop both AI systems and synthetic biology, Captain Future's 45-year-old predictions feel less like science fiction and more like a product roadmap. Number 8. BraveStarr, 1987 to 1988. A space western might seem like an odd place to find economic prophecy, but BraveStarr predicted the future of corporate resource exploitation with disturbing accuracy. Set on the frontier planet of New Texas, the series centered on conflicts arising from carium, a rare energy substance that attracts both settlers and a mining conglomerate called Stampede. This resource extraction narrative anticipated our current battles over rare minerals for batteries and electronics with remarkable precision. What makes BraveStarr truly visionary is how it portrayed corporate governance replacing traditional government in resource-rich regions. The mining company effectively runs New Texas despite the presence of nominal authorities, funding infrastructure but demanding compliance, a dynamic now playing out in real extraction economies across the developing world. Episodes frequently featured Stampede manipulating local politics to secure favorable mining rights, an issue now central to international resource politics. Animation historians often dismiss BraveStarr as merely Filmation's attempt to replicate the success of He-Man with a different setting, but its sophisticated portrayal of frontier economics deserved more credit. The show also pioneered Native American representation in animation, with the protagonist drawing power from his indigenous heritage, though through a lens that would be considered problematic by today's standards. Most impressively, the series predicted how resource-dependent communities become vulnerable to corporate control. One episode featured a carium shortage leading to price manipulation by Stampede, forcing colonists to choose between leaving their homes or working under exploitative conditions, a scenario now playing out in real mining towns worldwide. As nations race to secure supply chains for battery minerals and semiconductor materials, BraveStarr's vision of corporations becoming de facto governments in resource-rich regions feels less like cartoon fantasy and more like current events. Number 9, Inhumanoids, 1986. Environmental horror doesn't get more prescient than Inhumanoids, a forgotten series that predicted the catastrophic consequences of unchecked pollution and underground resource extraction decades before fracking controversies erupted. This unusually dark Sunbow Marvel production centered on ancient monsters awakened by modern drilling operations, a thinly veiled metaphor for ecological disruption that has proven alarmingly accurate. The series' central premise, that human industrial activity would release ancient threats from deep underground, feels particularly prophetic in an era of melting permafrost, releasing dormant viruses and methane, deep-sea mining, disturbing unknown ecosystems, and fracking operations triggering unexpected geological consequences. Episodes frequently featured corporations dismissing scientific warnings about these dangers in favor of immediate profit, a dynamic painfully familiar in climate policy debates. Animation buffs remember Inhumanoids for pushing the boundaries of children's programming with genuinely frightening content, but its limited 13-episode run prevented it from developing the following of contemporaries like Transformers. Critics at the time praised its environmental messaging, but questioned its intense horror elements for young viewers. Most eerily accurate was the show's portrayal of corporate-government relationships around environmental regulation. The villainous corporation, Blackthorn Shore, regularly manipulated officials to continue dangerous extraction projects despite clear evidence of catastrophic risks. As we witness contemporary regulatory capture by fossil fuel interests and deliberate suppression of climate research, Inhumanoids' corporate villains don't seem exaggerated anymore. They seem documentary accurate. The series' underground monster Decompose, who could transform living tissue into undead abominations, now reads as a perfect metaphor for how industrial pollution transforms living ecosystems into dead zones. Number 10. Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, 1987. Before we worried about over-reliance on technology, Visionaries predicted a full-circle return to mysticism after technological collapse. This short-lived series was set on the planet Prismos, where a planetary alignment caused all technology to fail permanently, forcing society to rebuild around magic and medieval structures. What seemed like fantasy in 1987 now reads as a disturbingly plausible scenario for post-infrastructure collapse. The genius of Visionaries was recognizing that technological regression wouldn't be uniform. In the series, former tech leaders become the new wizards, harnessing ancient knowledge others can't access. Exactly the power dynamic emerging in our increasingly complex digital systems, where a tiny elite understands the technology most people use daily. The show's magical staffs contained holograms and power systems incomprehensible to most characters, mirroring how indistinguishable advanced technology becomes from magic when infrastructure knowledge is lost. Critics dismissed the series as merely another toy commercial, which it certainly was, but its sophisticated portrayal of societal reorganization after technological collapse deserved more attention. The show lasted only 13 episodes before cancellation, despite strong writing from veterans like Flint Dilla and complex world-building unusual for its era. Most prophetic was its depiction of knowledge fragmentation after collapse. The show's factions each preserved different aspects of pre-catastrophe technology, unable to recreate former capabilities without collaboration, a scenario experts now consider likely in any major infrastructure breakdown. Each Visionaries group maintained partial understanding of former systems, creating a fragmented knowledge landscape where no single entity could rebuild what was lost. As our own systems grow more complex and interdependent, with fewer people understanding entire technology stacks, Visionaries' vision of technological fragility, followed by knowledge feudalism, feels alarmingly plausible. Number 11. Mighty Orbots, 1984 to 1985. Long before we worried about smart devices spying on us, Mighty Orbots predicted the surveillance implications of connected technology with startling accuracy. This overlooked TMS-MGM series featured a galactic agency called United Planets that monitored all communications for signs of criminal activity, led by a computer system that bears striking resemblance to modern NSA surveillance programs revealed by Edward Snowden. What made Mighty Orbots truly ahead of its time was its exploration of the privacy implications of ubiquitous sensing technology. The titular robot team could convert everyday objects into surveillance devices, while the villainous Umbrella organization employed similar methods for nefarious purposes, essentially predicting the current security versus privacy debates surrounding smart speakers, cameras, and other IoT devices decades before they existed. Animation enthusiasts praise the show's exceptional production values from Tokyo movie Shinsha, now TMS Entertainment, featuring fluid robot animation that stood above typical 1980s Saturday morning fare. Despite its visual quality and sophisticated storytelling, the series lasted only 13 episodes before cancellation, partially due to a lawsuit from Tonka, claiming similarity to their GoBots property. Most prescient was the show's central premise that technological interconnection creates both security and vulnerability. One episode featured Umbrella infiltrating the United Planets communication system to spread misinformation, effectively launching a disinformation campaign through trusted channels, a scenario now playing out regularly in our social media landscape. The show's ultimate message that technology designed for protection can become the perfect tool for control feels particularly relevant in an age of facial recognition, predictive policing algorithms, and constant digital surveillance. Number 12. The Centurions, 1985 to 1987. Man and machine, power extreme. This catchphrase from the Centurions seemed like typical cartoon hyperbole, but the series predicted our current human-computer integration with remarkable accuracy. The show featured specialists who could instantly integrate with modular weapon systems beamed directly onto their bodies, a concept that perfectly foreshadowed modern military exoskeletons, augmented reality combat systems, and human-machine interfaces. What made the Centurions particularly prophetic was its exploration of the psychological effects of becoming dependent on technology. Episodes frequently dealt with characters struggling with their hybrid identities, anticipating current concerns about digital dependency and human enhancement ethics. The show portrayed technology not just as tools, but as extensions of human capability that fundamentally change how users perceive themselves, a phenomenon now documented in real users of advanced prosthetics and brain-computer interfaces. Animation historian Jerry Beck noted the series represented a more sophisticated approach to the men and machines concept than contemporaries like MASK, with surprisingly nuanced exploration of technological ethics for a show designed to sell toys. Despite strong creative talent, including Jack Kirby in the development phase, The series never achieved the commercial success of contemporaries like G.I. Joe. Most impressive was the show's accurate prediction of modular, mission-specific technology systems. Modern military equipment follows exactly this paradigm, with soldiers using interconnected, specialized components rather than single unified systems, precisely how the Centurions' assault weapons systems functioned. The series even anticipated the development of civilian versions of military technology, with episodes featuring agricultural and exploration adaptations of combat systems, mirroring how technologies like GPS and drones have transitioned from military to civilian applications. Number 13. Star Blazers, 1979 to 1980. Nuclear devastation. Rendering Earth's surface uninhabitable seems like standard post-apocalyptic fare, but Star Blazers, the American adaptation of space battleship Yamato, predicted specific climate and radiation effects with disturbing accuracy. The series begins with Earth under assault from radioactive meteorites that contaminate the surface, forcing humanity underground. Modern studies of nuclear winter and radiation spread patterns have validated many of the environmental consequences depicted in this 1970s anime. What makes Star Blazers remarkably prescient is its portrayal of space resource competition. The interstellar conflicts depicted frequently centered on habitable planets and resources like water, anticipating our current early stages of space resource law and competition for lunar and asteroid mining rights. Episodes featuring nations claiming exclusive rights to planetary resources mirror developing legal frameworks for space exploitation. Animation scholars recognize Star Blazers for introducing American audiences to more sophisticated anime storytelling, with continuous plots and genuine character development unusual in Western animation at the time. Despite heavy localization that removed Japanese cultural elements and military references, the series developed a dedicated following that helped establish anime in North America. Most striking was the show's prediction of radiation remediation technology. The Cosmo-DNA device that could reverse radiation damage represented exactly the kind of terraforming technology scientists now theoretically propose for nuclear cleanup and climate intervention. The series portrayed this technology as a double-edged sword, capable of healing planets but also potentially weaponizable. A tension now emerging in real geoengineering debates. As nations develop climate intervention capabilities that could help or harm the planet depending on implementation, Star Blazer's decades-old warning about the responsibility such technology entails feels increasingly relevant. Number 14. Galaxy Rangers, 1986 to 1989. Digital consciousness transfer seemed like pure fantasy in 1986, but Galaxy Rangers predicted today's brain digitization research with uncanny precision. This innovative series featured Shane Gooseman, a genetically enhanced super trooper, and Nico, a psychic whose abilities were amplified by her Series 5 implant. Technologies that effectively foresaw both genetic enhancement and neural implants decades before CRISPR and Neuralink entered the public consciousness. The true prophetic element was the character of Walter Doc Hartford, whose experimental CDU, computer display unit, allowed him to manifest digital entities called tweakers in physical space to manipulate computer systems. This interface between digital and physical reality anticipated augmented reality interfaces with this remarkable accuracy. Doc's ability to enter and navigate computer systems as a digital avatar predicted current virtual reality interfaces and digital twin technology. Animation aficionados praise Galaxy Rangers for its groundbreaking computer-assisted animation and mature storytelling unusual for its era. Despite sophisticated world-building and an innovative cyberpunk Western fusion aesthetic, the series struggled in syndication against more heavily marketed competitors. Most impressive was the show's exploration of artificial intelligence rights and digital personhood. The tweakers Doc controlled had distinct personalities and some degree of autonomy, raising questions about the ethics of creating semi-sentient digital entities, questions now emerging in real AI development. Episodes featuring rogue AI systems and digital consciousness transfers anticipated contemporary debates around artificial consciousness and digital immortality with remarkable accuracy. As companies currently work to develop brain scanning technology detailed enough to potentially recreate consciousness in silico, Galaxy Ranger's decades-old ethical questions about what rights such digital entities might deserve feel increasingly urgent. Number 15. Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, 1985 to 1986. Plants modified to survive harsh conditions turn into an invasive species threatening all life. Sounds like current GMO concerns, right? Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors predicted the unintended consequences of biological engineering with alarming foresight. The series centered on monster minds, plant vehicle hybrids originally created to survive on harsh worlds that evolved into a conquering force, essentially portraying the exact invasive species concerns now raised about genetically modified organisms. What makes the series particularly prophetic is its portrayal of biotechnology designed for benevolent purposes, creating catastrophic unintended consequences. Dr. Audric created the monster minds to solve food scarcity issues, precisely the justification for modern GMO development, only to have his creation evolve beyond control. As we currently develop gene drives and other self-replicating biotechnologies, the show's warning about cascading ecological consequences feels increasingly relevant. Animation critics praise the series' distinctive vehicle designs by French artist Jean Chalopin and unusual premise that didn't fit neatly into standard hero categories. Despite creative ambition, the series ended without resolution after 65 episodes, leaving its ongoing storyline unfinished when toy sales didn't meet expectations. Most prescient was the show's exploration of the militarization of biological technology. The monster minds represent exactly the kind of weaponized biological agents that security experts now worry could be developed through synthetic biology techniques. Episodes featuring spores that transformed local flora into monster mind servants effectively predicted concepts like horizontal gene transfer that allow engineered traits to spread through ecosystems. As scientists currently debate the appropriate containment protocols for increasingly powerful biological engineering tools, Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors' warning about biotechnology escaping control feels less like children's entertainment and more like a simulation of genuine biosecurity risks. Which of these forgotten gems do you remember watching? Did any of their predictions particularly resonate with your experience of our current tech landscape? Drop your thoughts below and ask yourself, if cartoons from decades ago could see these problems coming, why haven't we done more to prevent them? Maybe the real science fiction isn't robots or spaceships. It's the idea that we'd actually learn from these warnings before it's too late.